In the next couple of minutes, I'm going to be breaking down our pre-sold method that helps producers like yourself generate cash flow by pre-selling your upcoming processing and harvest dates. Now, if you're new to selling direct or looking to develop some predictability in your sales for 2025, this is the exact system that you need in place to take deposits so your customers can lock in their orders ahead of time and not leave you hanging with an abundance of product in your freezers. Our pre-sold method works to help you grow your beef, pork, poultry, produce, or anything else that you produce and sell direct to consumer consistently year over year so that you can see not only profits, but stability in your operation. So quickly, before I break down our pre-sold method and give you the exact ways we set up our clients' websites, landing pages, emails, and social content, I want you to know that what I will be covering may be concepts or principles that you've heard before, but brought together in a way to help you actually generate results so that you can leave this training with an exact roadmap on the steps that you need to take in order to generate pre-sales and grow your operation moving forward. Now, I totally get it. You might have red flags going up about the next random guy on the internet trying to help you sell your farm products, and rightfully so. I'd personally have the same feelings after seeing all the ads from all the other companies out there promising to do the same thing for your operation. So I'll let you hear directly from a few of our past clients.
Reframe me kind of where you were before you started with us.
About to give up because we've been through 2 different programs that were not at all what they said they were in on the surface. And finally we found you guys. Everything came full circle.
Really, I mean, even a lot of producers have kind of lost touch with what the customer wants because for so many years we've been chasing what does the feedlot buyer want or the order buyer want.
Yeah, we sold $15,000 in beef this month and whatever. He's pretty pumped about that and is just even more excited for the future.
When I look at the return on investment that I've made with direct farm marketing, the answer is easy. You simply look at the numbers. What are the numbers coming in terms of new customer acquisition or sales or whatever your objective is that you're measuring? Of all of the programs I've implemented, direct farm marketing has been a great way to really see that ROI, and it's definitely worth the investment.
Direct farm marketing 100% helped with that and is the reason for that. And seeing those sales roll in, making those connections, it's like I said earlier, it's surreal. It's gives you hope that this thing's working.
I would recommend this program to anybody that's wanting to build their brand, to sell any type of product they have to the public direct from their farm. It's simple, it's easy to do, and it's been a godsend to us.
Shift gears to survive. Yes, for me it's survival, whether or not we're able to stay in this industry or not.
This is exactly what we need. Like I knew that we needed it. I just didn't know where to start.
I highly recommend it. You're going to get value out of it. Like I said, whether you're just starting out or whether you've been doing this for years.
I feel like I've had several more random retail sales around the region, around Cincinnati.
Mike has been great. He has been a huge help. More than he realizes of taking this business to the next step. I didn't even have a logo whenever we got started. I knew that I had homegrown beef. He's done more than I've even asked him to do, and he's worked just as hard at the business as I have.
Now, just for context, my name is Mike Parker. I'm the owner of Direct Farm Marketing, and I've been doing digital marketing professionally for the past 15 years. And I've taken my past experiences during that time to develop the process that we call the Direct Farm Roadmap System that we use to actually implement the pre-sold method that we're about to break down. In the next few moments, I'm going to completely break down the pre-sold method as well as how our internal program works for our clients. Before we get into it, it's critical to understand in order to actually pre-sell your upcoming harvest dates, you need to have some infrastructure in place. So as I mentioned, I want to break down our offer to you because that is exactly what we do. Our team of experts will actually build and optimize all the infrastructure for you that you need to execute the pre-sold method in your operation. We'll build out your websites, your sales pages, your landing pages, email marketing, optimize for SEO, run and manage advertising that actually attracts the right customers. And then once we build that infrastructure for you, we then train and coach you how to use it long term. And the best part is we guarantee you results. If our systems do not make you sales, we will continue to work on your account until they do. Now, if that at all sounds interesting to you, you can book a call with our team down below. So with that, as I mentioned, let's dive into the full training and break down the pre-sold method. All right, so in this training, we're talking about the pre-sold method. Now, this is the method that we use to help you generate cash flow for your farm or ranch by pre-selling what it is you're producing before your actual harvest dates. That way you can generate some real cash flow by selling deposits, again, for whatever it is that you're producing. So we're gonna jump into this. I wanna talk to you guys real quick though, about the number one thing you need in order to pre-sell, and I think it should be understood, is that you need a crowd to pre-sell to, or you need an audience base or a customer base. If you don't have a crowd, if you're just starting out and you want to pre-sell what it is you're producing, you can do it, but you've got to have a crowd to pre-sell to. You got to have an audience base to actually run this marketing campaign or this marketing strategy that we're about to break down and talk about. So we're going to break all of it down, but I wanted to preface it with the fact that you've got to have an audience, you got to have a customer base in order to be actually pre-sell to. And we cover all of that in a training called Growing Your List, where we talk about all the different strategies we can use to actually grow a customer list or gain an audience of people to be able to pre-sell to. So in this specific training, we're going to really be breaking down the pre-sold method, marketing campaign or strategies, and all the different things that make up the pre-sold season. And the last thing, and outside of the actual campaign, is the systems that are required to make the campaign generate results. So the marketing campaigns out there, strategically finding, targeting people, presenting them with this idea of being able to secure bulk beef, pork, chicken, produce, whatever it is you're trying to sell, that you're trying to pre-sell. We're out there trying to, this marketing campaign is doing its job, but the optimized sales pages or the back end is what actually is going to convert these people, and making sure that those things are set up properly, which is a little bit different than just the roadmap system when you have a sale where you're trying to pre-sell something. So we're going to cover all that here in just a second. So let's kick things off with the crowd to pre-sell to. We're going to cover just a little bit here. Like I said, the Growing Your List trainings will actually talk about strategies, but I can't understate the importance to you guys enough. You can see an example here that we've seen work out pretty well with a lot of our clients, that if you have 1,000 customer contacts in your list, in your customer database, that can very easily convert into $112,000, $112,500 in retail beef sales. Now, it's actually only 2.5% of your list converting. That's 25 customers who are buying whole beef, as an example, at $4,500 per head. And the point here that I want to emphasize is that it's really a numbers game. We talk about growing your list and having a crowd to pre-sell to. There's a lot of people out there that are interested in what it is you're producing. If you can get enough of them on a list that have some type of connection point with you, that's what this purpose is of the pre-sold method. Now, this is talking about over an entire year, typically the results that we see from a customer list like this. But the pre-sold method gives us a really good opportunity. We're going to talk a little bit about the best times of year at the end of this video to actually implement the pre-sold method. We get amazing results around Christmas and New Year's. Now, you can do the pre-sold method any time of year, but we're going to specifically talk about Christmas and New Year's and why they're so big and how we use this strategy to really leverage those times of year. Now, we talked again, if you watch the Direct Farm the Roadmap training series, the crowd to pre-sale can be generated by 3 ways, right? You're generating your leads 3 different ways. They can be earned, paid, or owned. And real briefly, earned is any time that you're generating leads through your own efforts, right? Paid is through marketing efforts, those types of things, paid advertising. And then owned is your list. So that would be your crowd, would be the owned, right? So to focus on pre-selling, if you guys are out there trying to generate the best results, what we want to do is convert the earned here and the paid. We want to convert them into owned. That's where we want to grab them and convert them into in order to generate the kind of results that we want to generate. So let's go ahead and dive on into it. We're going to dive into the method, the marketing strategy, and the back-end systems that you have to have in place to actually execute the pre-sold method. So let's take a look here. This is a little bit of a breakdown of the marketing strategy. So we call this the pre-sold method outline. And essentially we break it into 3 phases. Now, if we look at a calendar, again, typically your end of your harvest date, whether that's in September, February, March, it really doesn't matter. We're going to work backwards from that harvest date and start to implement this marketing strategy. So we start with phase 1, which is the awareness phase. That's simply letting people know that you have a deadline or you have a harvest date. You have a deadline to actually let people know that it's going to be the last time they can guarantee they're going to get your beef. Now, you may or may not sell out of your beef every time you post it online. If you do, that's a great problem to have. If you don't, that's okay. That date still represents the last time that you can guarantee they will get a chance to get the bulk beef, all right? So phase one is awareness. We're just letting people know that, hey, September 15th, we're taking animals into harvest, or, we're going to have whatever that looks like for your operation. It may not be animals that you're harvesting, you might be producing, produce or something of that nature. But if you're in phase one, letting people know, right, what they can expect, you're communicating upfront with them, letting them know dates that are going to be the last dates that they're actually going to be able to secure, right, what it is that you're offering them. Now, this can be implemented in a lot of different ways. All of these phases, you can see from phase one, the awareness, phase two is educational coverage second, and phase three, the urgency phase. These can be implemented through social media, through paid advertising. We can actually have ads that follow this outline. And then we have email and SMS marketing, okay? So these are gonna be the primary ways that we actually implement the outline or the marketing strategy, okay? So again, like I mentioned, we're working backwards from a harvest date. So if again, we have September 15th and we look at phase one, we don't wanna be telling people on September 1st, right? That'd be the awareness phase. Now there's other things inside the awareness phase. We'll break that down in just a second, but we wanna give ourselves enough time that we can make people aware and start to promote what it is that we're doing. There's three really important keys to this marketing strategy, and that's intent, frequency, and urgency. So obviously intent being like, what's the purpose of the communication or the content you're putting out or the ads that you're running? And that for phase one, again, is awareness, right? Education is the intent. You're trying to educate them on what it is you sell, what makes it different, what are the benefits of the product, et cetera, et cetera. And then urgency also lives with frequency, okay? So how frequent is your content going out? How frequent are they seeing your ads? How frequent are you sending emails? Typically, frequency is going to increase as they move down the list. So as they start getting down here into urgency, hey, in a week, it's gonna be your last chance to get bulk beef for your family, to secure bulk beef for your family in 2025, right? Something along those lines, or whatever it is. I'm using these examples, but you can plug in whatever your family produces. Urgency, obviously, I think self-explanatory in phase three is the urgency phase. So these are typically hard deadlines. Hey, tomorrow is the last day. You have 3 days left to secure pastured pork for your family in 2025, whatever those things look like for you. So this is a bit of an outline of the different phases. And again, I think it's really important to keep in mind that if you are implementing this, you're implementing it through your email and SMS marketing, which might look a little bit different. You may not obviously you don't want to send out as many text messages as you do email marketing. But if you're sending this out in email marketing, you're following the same script on social media, putting out the same content, letting people know the same type of stuff that you're putting out there. So let's go ahead and break down each one of these, talk a little bit about them, what is inside of each one of these phases. And remember, we've worked backwards from our date. So if our date, again, September 15th, I use as an example, we might work back 2 months from that date or a month and a half from that date where we start awareness phase right here, number one, and then we move into education phase and we move into urgency. So let's go ahead and jump into the awareness phase here and take a look at what we've got. And so for the awareness phase here, you can see there's a few different steps in this awareness phase, right? We have the pre-sold announcement, and that's, like I said, it's simply announcing to people that the pre-sold, they can buy something ahead of time, like there's a harvest date, and they can actually put a deposit in and get something ahead of time, right? That's all basically it's an announcement. It's super simple. This, again, social content, emails, all the things, okay? So the next one we call is the how it works messaging. So we want to be very clear in our communication and our expectations with our potential customers of what they can expect when they pre-sell something. So, we got to explain to them, hey, when you put a deposit in, this is what's going to happen. Okay. And people ask me all the time, like, what's the timeline? If I have something that's not going to be ready for 2 or 3 months, is that okay? It's completely okay if you explain that to them really well in this how it works messaging, again, on social content, emails, etc., and on your landing pages and sales pages. We're going to get to that in just a second. But as long as you're setting expectations and you're communicating really well with your customers, it's never a problem. I've never seen it be an issue. Okay. So the last one is what's included. So again, if you're selling whole, half, typically, and I'll preface this, I haven't said this yet, but typically when you're pre-selling, it's for bulk options. So bulk beef, pork, chicken, chicken. Actually, and we still are raising some chicken direct to consumer. But when I first started, we did the chicken for the year program. And that was, people could get 75 whole chickens for their family pre-ordered at the beginning of the year that we gave to them in allocations throughout the season. Every 6 weeks, we gave to them throughout the season. Okay. And so this is just letting them know, like, hey, when you make your order, this is actually what you're going to get. This is actually what's included. included. It's kind of a mix of the How It Works email. There's a lot of the same type of information, but we want to let them know very specifically what they can expect to actually be receiving. So I've talked a little bit about an irresistible offer, and that's something that we can kind of include if we'd like to. And what that can look like is giving someone something additional when they go ahead and secure something by pre-selling from you. So you might have seen like Good Ranchers or Butcher Box who, would give away a, free, like mini free or free, the small freezers. They'd give away one of the small freezer chests if you bought a whole beef from them or you bought a quarter of beef from them. That would be like an irresistible offer. And so if you're going to include something like that, something we talk about with some of our premium clients, then you obviously want to outline what that looks like, what's included in the what's included email. Okay. So let's move on to phase 2. And that was the education phase. And now in the education phase, this is a lot of, letting people know like what makes your product different, why should I buy your product, all those types of questions. We're still dripping that information out to them, again, on social media, through your content that you're creating, through stories, through reels, posting on Facebook, sending out emails to your clients, all those things. You're still following this framework, okay? So we've got the benefits, all right? So what's the benefits of buying beef from you, right? Is it just that it's farm fresh? Is it that, hey, I have a freezer full of beef that anytime I want to make a meal, I can go over there and pull it out and I have, quick, easy, healthy meal ready for my family? That's a huge benefit. So highlight that. Why would someone buy in bulk and why would they pre-order from you, right? If you typically sell out, one of the big benefits would be you get to secure that you're getting that food this year, right? Because we typically sell out. Again, if it's pastured, anytime pastured meats or, if it's not pastured and it's just pork or it's chicken, just off your family farm that you're selling direct, that's completely fine. There's benefits to that too. And you want to talk about them. You want to highlight them right here. If you're regenerative, you want to be highlighting those things right here. Okay. The Why It's Different email is also very, very similar. It's a lot of the same type of content. Now, I'm not into just bashing other people and other farming practices just to sell your product, but you do want to say why your product is different. If you are regenerative or not regenerative, that's something you probably want to focus on if you're regenerative, because that is different than how most people are producing. Now, if you're producing, very, very high quality beef, like higher quality beef than most people can get their hands on, and you're, putting that on a, really high quality feed ration, and you're really, you're grading prime, right? And you're putting out a great product. You got to explain what that is. What does prime mean? What does USDA beef standards mean? Or meat standards mean? Like how are they graded? That's the why it's different. It's still different in some type of way. We want to be talking about that and communicating that. And then in these messages, right? If it's social media, just to give you a quick example, if we're talking about why it's different, I'll use the prime example. And we're talking about, hey, this is, what prime beef is compared to just, choice or whatever, right? We also want to be letting people know at the end, let's say it's a social media reel. It's that like, hey, here's 2 pieces of steak. This is ours grades as prime. This is why. And then it's, hey, your last chance to be able to secure our beef in your family's freezer for 2025 is going to be September 15th. So stay on the lookout, give them the details XYZ, right? That could be a reel. Same thing if you're sending an email out or whatever that looks like. You're also including all that information. So you're still going to include that, hey, September 15th is our last opportunity. Here's the link to actually go secure this via deposit, and all that stuff still explains. There's a lot of repetition in these, but there is little nuance differences, and we're constantly kind of dripping this stuff out, okay? So testimonials is a big one. I fit it into the education phase because it's letting people know it's part of their decision-making process. They need to see some type of social proof that like, hey, other people purchased this, they bought it, they enjoyed it, this is what they had to say about it. So it kind of falls into the category of like someone's education towards you, your product, your offerings, and that sort of thing. Let's move on to phase 3 here. In phase 3, which is the urgency phase, it's all around, registration or pre-orders closing. Now, there's several different messages we can put in here, several different little strategies and things we kind of use and cues that we use with our clients. But what's important for you guys to know, it's all central to registration closing. So we might send a message out, or we might do something saying, hey, in a week from today, we're closing, right? Hey, 3 days from today, it's gonna be your last chance to guarantee, tomorrow is your last chance to guarantee, right? So all these emails are very, they're solely focused on the urgency timeline, okay? On the timeline and the urgency around their, potentially you selling out, or this being the last day to guarantee you're gonna get whatever your product is. So that urgency and frequency is another big one. Typically in this phase 3, we want our frequency to really pick up. And that's something that I haven't really touched quite on a little bit. We'll jump back here just into, phase 1. In phase 1, your frequency is going to be a little more spaced out. Okay. So typically we're looking at 7 days between, Let's say these are emails or social media posts or something like that. So we can let it breathe a little bit. Okay, now that's not set in stone. It could be 4 days, could be 10 days, but the frequency is not super high because the urgency is not super high at this point. Now, when we get into the education, we can pick up frequency a bit. Maybe if we were 10 days, and then maybe we move to 5 days. If we were 7 days, we're moving to 4 days, that sort of thing. So the cadence is starting to pick up, and people will feel that. And then when we get into phase 3, we really can pick up, to every other day. And then even at the very end, we can say, hey, last day is tomorrow. And then you can even send another email on the day of, like, hey, today's the last day. So you're doing, reels, stories, emails, all the different things we talked about, and you're running them that way. You've also heard me talk about ads. And so if you have a 3-month timeline or a 2-month timeline, you can actually segment your ads to do the same thing, where your ads actually are answering, the same kind of like your ads are fitting into this too, right? Where you're running ads letting people know that there's an opportunity to secure and to pre-sell. And then number 2, like, why would you want to do it? What's the benefits? Why? Like, what's the point of, ordering something ahead of time? And then number 3, that urgency. You can actually segment that into the ads as well, which is a really, really great piece. Now, that's kind of the marketing strategy. That's the timeline. That's the different phases that make up the pre-sold season. But one of the biggest things to talk about, and it's one of the main points here, is the actual back end of what converts this into sales. Now, if we look at phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, if we're talking about these, again, being on social media, emails, whatever, we got to have a link associated, right? So for every one of these, right, when we make our pre-sold announcement, let's say it's an email, we're going to have a link in that email to go, go do the thing, go pay the deposit, go ahead and secure what it is. In the How It Works email, in the What's Included reel that you make or post you make on Facebook, that also has a link in it. Every single one of these has a link. Right? Now that link is super important because that's not just your homepage. I've talked a little bit about this in the roadmap system video, but that link is actually going to go to a sales page that's built specifically for your pre-sale offer. Okay. So that sales page has language, right? It's psychologically built in order to convert someone to actually take action on pre-ordering or reserving what it is you're selling. And so we're going to jump into that a little bit. You might recognize this from the roadmap system. It's a little bit different. In the roadmap system, we use the example for the low ticket offer. Now, this is going to be for a pre-sold offer. So again, typically this is for a bulk product, but we're going to follow the same systems, right? So we still want to have a strong hook, right? We want to grab people's attention. One that I really, really love for the pre-sold method is, hey, do you want to, are you looking to secure bulk? I would say bulk beef, but really you want to get to that pain point. If you can get to that pain point, that's a great place to be in. Are you looking to secure healthy, trustworthy food for your family in 2025? Right? I'm always looking ahead. That's the whole purpose of having bulk food in a freezer, is that you're prepared and planned for ahead, right? But what kind of food is it? It's healthy food that's trustworthy. It's all those things that check all those boxes for the customers that you're wanting to serve. So you want to use, again, strong hook up here at the very beginning, have a bit of the features, kind of what's included. You might notice is following kind of the same type of system we had in emails. And then obviously you have product on page. Now, a couple of things about the product on page. We want to be able to take deposits. Okay, so deposits is super important because we don't want to say, hey, you got to buy a whole beef and it's, $4,500, $5,000, and that's it. They don't want to pull that kind of money out and just run their card for that right away. Okay, so if they can pay a $500, $800, $1,000 or more, whatever your deposit price is, they can pay that deposit price, and it can be automated to where they get that the final amount taken out of their account before you fulfill it, so you don't have to track them all down. That's a system that we build in for all of our clients. But if you can implement that, that's a big deal because it's one less step of things you're having to do. That's kind of one of our automation pieces we talked about in the roadmap system. But that's a big piece of this sales page that you're able to take deposits. We still want to do upsells and add-ons, right? So they can still add on, a la carte items. There might be other items that are best sellers. So they're securing a whole pork, but then they're also adding on, some steak bundles or ground beef bundles or whatever that looks like for you guys. Obviously, the ease of use and communication that we talked about is really important for this entire sales page. Okay, so we talked about the upsells and subscriptions. Well, subscriptions, again, it just depends what you're selling. I've got some produce people that will do, pounds of, things like apples, peaches, nuts, things like that, direct to consumer. And if that's what you're doing, subscriptions really make sense. Obviously, if you're doing a whole beef, subscriptions is not something that's going to make sense. That's typically going to be reserved for those low ticket offers that I talked about in the roadmap system. Okay. But all the other things are super important. So like social proof, the fulfillment options, being able to make some type of connection with you, the farmer or rancher, whether that's a quote, snippet from your family that's actually on page right there. And then we've got buy bulk and save. So maybe you aren't pre-selling whole, half, quarter beefs or pork, again, chicken, all the things. Maybe you're selling a specific offer still. Maybe you're pre-selling one of your best sellers that's now back in stock. You can still highlight the flip of that. The other thing to kind of put in here, if you are selling in bulk, is to put in a not ready to buy bulk. It's a try before you buy. So you're not ready to buy bulk yet. And this is where you plug the low ticket offer. If you watch the roadmap system, you'll be familiar with that. If you're not, that's kind of your lower priced bundles, right? So it's like, you're not ready to buy bulk. Well, you can try before you buy. You can buy one of our, lower priced bundles, and there you go. Okay. And then we got FAQs. Obviously, it's like good practice, like I mentioned, to always have on page. Now, a couple things before we wrap up here. I want to talk about when to run the pre-sold method. So number one, just know that you can run it anytime. You can run it any time of year. It can be effective. You can use any deadline, any date. So don't let the dates hold you back. If you have something that you need to move and work on and you need to promote, by all means, go for it. But I do want to talk specifically just for a minute about Christmas and New Year's. At the time of filming this video, it's August 19th. And so we're right around the corner from Christmas and New Year's. They're right around the corner. And they make up the best time of year for you to be able to really leverage the urgency and just the psychological reasoning for buying your products pre-sale in a pre-sold deposit type of manner. And I'll talk to you about that for just a second. So I love starting a pre-sold methods, marketing strategy sometime like right before or right after Thanksgiving. Because typically right after Thanksgiving, what do you have? Black Friday, right? That's like they're buying all their Christmas gifts. That's why Black Friday is so big. It's turned into this worldwide phenomenon, but it really starts because people now are like all of a sudden urgent to buy Christmas gifts, okay? And so I want to get in the mix. Not that we have to offer a Black Friday special, but we can be sending out specific emails letting people know that this is a great thing to buy for your grandchildren, for your kids, for a family member, for a friend. Buying a half beef, quarter beef, whole beef, pork, again, whatever, is a incredible gift. I mean, really think about that. Like, what an incredible gift. My grandfather actually bought my wife and I a whole beef like 4 or 5 years ago for Christmas, and it was like the greatest gift that we ever got. I mean, it literally fed us for an entire year from cattle that came from his operation, right? It was absolutely incredible. And so that's something that we want to push, we want to promote, and we want to give the opportunity for people to also buy gift cards. Okay, that's another thing we hadn't touched on yet, but the ability to actually buy a gift card for a bulk order, someone can actually give someone for Christmas as a gift. That's a phenomenal gift. Okay, so give people the opportunity to purchase this as a gift for somebody. You'll be surprised at what happens. And then the second one is New Year's, right? What do people do for New Year's? One, they start planning for the year. So having a freezer full of whatever you're producing might be on those plans. But number two, they make New Year's resolutions, okay? Typically that's centered around eating healthier, having, just better lifestyle, life choices, and calendar and the way they do their days and cook their meals. Mom's thinking about all that stuff, right? And so one of the things I love is having some of our emails, social content, all those things centered around that and leveraging that through our pre-sold method. So actually something like an example would look like, hey, are you looking to keep your New Year's resolutions in 2025? Well, our bulk beef is a great way to do that. When you secure it with a deposit, you actually are securing healthy, trustworthy food from our family ranch delivered right to your door, blah, 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 blah. In an email, that email's going out, January 5th, January 8th, January 10th, and, we're hitting them with that, right? All through the method. We're doing things on social media, same type of timeline. So that's why I really love Christmas and New Year's timeline as far as actually executing the pre-sold method. Now, that it all sounds like something that you'd like help implementing into your operation. That's exactly what we do for our clients. We build the systems and infrastructure to actually execute the pre-sold method. You heard me earlier talk about the number one thing that you need to actually execute this is a list, a customer database. So we help coach, train on the strategies to actually grow your list and build out the back-end systems for our clients. So if that's at all interesting to you, all you got to do is go down, click the link. If you don't have a call scheduled already, schedule a call with us. We'll walk you through how we can build out these systems for your specific farming or ranching operation, and we'll see you on the other side. I would like to congratulate you for making it this far and taking the first step to building a profitable direct-to-consumer business that will impact not only your future, but the next generation as well.